The booking came through at midnight. Ethan Cole stared at his phone for a long moment before accepting it. He hadn't planned to work that night. His daughter was asleep in the next room, her school uniform already laid out for the morning. Life had been simple lately, intentionally so. But the message carried urgency. One night only, discreet cash. Ethan sighed and accepted. To the world, he was just another struggling single dad trying to survive in a city that never slowed down. His clothes were plain. His car was old. His name meant nothing. That was exactly how he wanted it. Across town, Isabella Moore adjusted her coat as she waited in a luxury hotel suite. She was successful, powerful, and tired. Tired of fake smiles, shallow conversations, and men who wanted her name more than her company. Tonight was different. No strings, no expectations, just silence. When the knock came, she didn't look up right away. "Come in," she said. Ethan stepped inside quietly. He carried himself with calm confidence but no arrogance. He didn't stare. He didn't comment on the view, the expensive furniture, or the art on the walls. Isabella finally looked at him and then paused. He wasn't what she expected. No flashy clothes, no forced charm, just steady eyes and a respectful distance. "You're different," she said. "So are you," Ethan replied evenly. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was heavy, like two people who had lived very different lives but were equally exhausted. They talked instead of anything else. About work, about loss, about being alone in rooms full of people. Ethan spoke briefly about his daughter, about balancing time and money, about choosing presence over ambition. Isabella listened more than she had in years. She assumed he was struggling. She had no idea that the man sitting across from her, calm, observant, controlled, was the CEO of a billion-dollar company who had stepped away from the spotlight after his wife's death. She didn't know that tomorrow morning, Ethan would return to a boardroom where people waited for his decisions. And Ethan didn't know that this single night would change far more than either of them expected. Sometimes the biggest truths hide behind the simplest disguises. Morning light crept through the curtains, soft and quiet. Isabella woke before her alarm, surprised by the calm she felt. For the first time in months, her mind wasn't racing. Ethan was already awake. He stood near the window, buttoning his plain shirt, watching the city wake up below. There was no rush in his movements, no nervousness, no lingering expectation. "You don't act like someone who does this often," Isabella said, sitting up. Ethan smiled faintly. "I don't." She studied him now with new curiosity. Most men she met tried to impress her or extract something from her. Ethan did neither. He asked nothing, expected nothing. "You said you worked freelance," she said. "What do you really do?" "I solve problems," he answered honestly. That answer lingered. As Ethan prepared to leave, Isabella reached for her phone and transferred the agreed payment, then paused. "That feels insufficient," she said. Ethan shook his head. "It's fine. Last night wasn't about money." The words unsettled her. After he left, Isabella sat alone in the massive suite, suddenly aware of how empty it felt. She hadn't even asked for his number, and yet she couldn't stop thinking about him. 2 hours later, Isabella arrived at her company's headquarters for an emergency board meeting. A major acquisition was on the line and tensions were high. Lawyers filled the room. Executives whispered. Then the door opened. Every conversation stopped. Ethan walked in, not in plain clothes, but in a tailored suit. Calm, commanding, familiar. Isabella's breath caught. He took the seat at the head of the table. "Let's begin," Ethan said. A board member leaned toward Isabella, whispering, "You've met our CEO before, right?" Her heart pounded. This wasn't possible. The quiet single dad? The man who spoke about choosing presence over ambition? The one who said money didn't matter? Ethan Cole, founder and CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech empires in the country. Their eyes met across the room. No embarrassment, no smugness, only recognition. After the meeting, Isabella cornered him in the hallway. "You knew," she said quietly. "You knew who I was." Ethan nodded. "And you didn't know who I was. Why didn't you say anything?" He met her gaze steadily. "Because I wanted to know who you were when titles disappeared." Isabella exhaled sharply. Everything she thought she understood was about to change. Isabella didn't sleep that night. The boardroom scene replayed in her mind, again and again, the calm authority in Ethan's voice, the way others deferred to him, the realization that she had misjudged him completely. The next morning she requested a private meeting. Ethan arrived on time, carrying the same quiet presence he always did. No entourage, no show. "I owe you an apology," Isabella said before he could speak. "Not for what happened, but for how I assumed." Ethan nodded. "Most people assume." She hesitated. "Why live the way you do? You could have anything." Ethan looked toward the window. "After my wife died, I realized something. Wealth attracts noise. My daughter needed silence, stability, a father who wasn't owned by meetings." Isabella felt a lump in her throat. "I built my life chasing control," she admitted. "Power, numbers, respect, and yet I've never felt as seen as I did that night." Ethan met her eyes. "Because you weren't performing." Days later, headlines exploded. Tech billionaire CEO steps back, transfers majority control to trust. But the articles missed the point. Ethan didn't disappear. He redirected. He launched a foundation supporting single parents, ethical leadership, and quiet philanthropy. No press conferences, no branding. And Isabella changed too. She resigned from 2 boards, streamlined her life, and rejected a promotion that would have consumed her entirely. Instead, she partnered with Ethan's foundation, not as a benefactor, but as a builder. Months passed. One evening, Isabella stood at a school auditorium watching Ethan help his daughter prepare for a small recital. He knelt to fix her shoelace, smiling with complete focus. That was when she understood. Power wasn't money. Power was choice. Later, as they walked out together, Isabella spoke softly. "You didn't just fool me." Ethan smiled. "I didn't fool anyone. I just stopped explaining." She laughed, genuinely this time. Some stories begin with deception. The rare ones end with truth. And sometimes, the most extraordinary people are the ones who never needed to prove who they were, until the right person finally saw them.